All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shah, Hashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to all the Akim out there pushing the word of sincerity and the truth. And I'm just going to do a quick lesson going into, are we saved by faith, works, or the law? You know, that's basically the question. And the answer is, truthfully, all. You know, they all work hand in hand. You know, faith is defined technically by the works and the actions that you do. And the law, of course, can't save you, but we are to rehearse the righteous acts. So you can't say you have faith and you're performing works and you're not keeping the law at all. And you can't keep the law and not believe on Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah. So they all intertwine, or they're all interwoven within each other. So you have to actually have all those active ingredients within your vessel in order to be fully sound and whole in the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah. And like it tells you in Hebrews the 11th chapter, it says, without faith it's impossible to please the Most High. And then it goes down the line on faithful men that through the acts that they progress with, they showed remarkable amounts of faith. But all those men also kept the law because they knew that it was importance of the law. They couldn't have shown works of faith and then not fell under the banner of the law. They knew that the law was of a high importance, and they regarded the law very, very highly, and they walked within the law. Now, of course, where you fall short of in the faith, that's why we have Yahweh Shah, which is our mediator that constantly atones for us. And that's what we have faith on too. You know, we believe that, and we know that ultimately, in order to work our way out of sin and work our way out of this place, we have to work. All right, that's the key word, working, through putting forth action in the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah. So I wanted to really just explain that, you know, because you know you'll read certain things and then it kind of speaks on different things in the scriptures, but when you go into the context of all three, they're all very, very important. They're all pivotal pieces, and we all have to assign and actually, I was going to say assign ourselves around those premises. So I'm gonna start with this scripture in John 1:16. And of his fullness have all we received, and grace for grace. For the law was given by Moses, but grace and truth came by Yahweh Shah Mashiach. Right, so the law was given by Moses. All right, and the Israelites fell short of the law, and where we fell short, that's where you have Yahweh Shah being our mediator, and that was the purpose for him to atone. And he didn't atone for us to not keep the law. He always told us to follow the law and follow Moses' words. All right, he said, if you believe not Moses' words, then you won't believe mine. And matter of fact, I'm going to read this real fast. Matter of fact, Psalms 19:7. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. All right, and this is Hebrews 7:19. For the law made nothing perfect, but the bringing in of a better hope did, which the hope is what? The belief. So you needed the law because the law is the perfection. The law is the measuring stick. All right, but it made nothing perfect. Why? Because we always fall short of the law. All right, Paul spoke about how the law is perfect, but I'm a sinful man, basically given unto foolish deeds. And that's why the new covenant is going to ultimately be the perfection of your vessel, which is going to be the laws actually being embedded in our inwards. So the law is very, very important, but we know that we can't keep the law. Why? Because we're in this sinful vessel, but we have to work. All right, that's why it says, let not your sins weigh you down, neither let your iniquities lift themselves up. Because what? You have to outwork the demons and the spirits where you fall short. It also tells you in Baruch, as it was in your nature to go astray, so seek the Lord 10 times harder. And you seek it through what? Works. All right, because we went astray. We broke the laws. All right, and the law is perfect, as it is written in Psalms 19:7. But the law made nothing perfect. Why? Because our deeds were always sinful. All right, the scriptures speak about how all of our righteousness is equatable to filthy rags. So at the end of the day, the perfection of the law, man, it can't follow it in the fullness. But that's why it brought in a better hope, which the hope is the belief in Yahweh Shah Mashiach, as it is written in John the 1st chapter, by the which we draw near or nigh unto the Most High. And that's how we draw nigh unto the Most High, by a stronger hope, because we can't draw nigh unto the Most High fully through the law. We try to keep the law to our best of our ability, but at the end of the day, we're sinful men, you know, and in these times now, we don't even commit sin deliberately, so to speak. Sometimes we do, you know. That's why the scripture says, remove from me secret faults, as David said. But a lot of this food is injected with pork, all right, has all kind of unclean spirits in it. You know, all these different the food has unclean spirits, the water has unclean spirits, the environment that we living in, the women. That's why it speaks of us as an adulterous and adulterer and an adulterous generation. You know, so that doesn't admit, or that doesn't take away from the fact. I meant to say omit, excuse me. That doesn't omit or take away from the fact that the law should be kept. But where we fall short of the law, we have a greater hope. So, of course, one is stronger than the next, but they all go hand in hand because it's all through your faith. But you can't just say you have faith. Your faith is defined by the actions and the works that you do. All right, showing that you actually believe. So, Romans 3:27. Where is boasting then? It is excluded. By what law of works? Nay, but by the law of faith. Right. So it says, Paul said, by what law of works? Nay, but by the law of faith. So it's all about the faith that you actually, you know, show. You know, because by your believing Yahweh by Shem Shai, you know, that's what's gonna get us delivered. That's why I said it's not of he that runneth and he that willeth, because at the end of the day, is ultimately Yahweh Shai is gonna deliver us, not through any of these, but ultimately through mercy. So it is through your belief that you believe on Yahweh by Shem Shai that draws you near unto the Most High, but the Lord saves you ultimately through the fact of mercy. All right, and he puts all these things on a resume. Is he showing a lot of faith? Is he keeping the law? All right, is he doing the works? And where he falls short, that's why we have Yahweh Shai, which Yahweh Shai had to come and atone for us because we broke the law, so that we will actually constantly have that blood sprinkled on the altar, you know, to cleanse us from our everyday sin, our everyday transgression. You know, therefore we conclude that a man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law. And that's why I said that earlier, because you're justified through faith, which the word justify means to clear yourself of sin. And you can't clear yourself of sin by the deeds of the law, because we can't keep the law. The law was made perfect in Psalms 19:7, but we fall short of the law every day. So we can't be perfect with through the law. You know, here it is as a Sabbath. You know, technically we're not supposed to be buying and selling. You know, but technically we're not supposed to be working. We have to work on these Sabbath days. We have to, you know, purchase food. You know, sometimes you might be at work, you ain't ate, and you know, you've been ripping and running all day. You might be at work and you ain't ate, and you might have to just grab something to fuel yourself up. Now that's why the scripture says, "Be not righteous over much," because you know Jake tried to get too perfect with the law. You know, it says that those that are delivered from the archers in a place of drawn water, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord. Because when you're in captivity, all you could do is rehearse, because why? Your captor is feeding you. Your captor is nourishing you. You're being nourished and taken care of through the face of the serpent. And ultimately, he's giving us poison. That's why it tells you in John that, if I'm not mistaken, that we shall drink poison and live. Because everything that Esau is drawing down the pipeline is really slated to kill us. But all these things, at the end of the day, we're still fighting through it through the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shah. So continue on, verse 29. Is he the power of the Jews only? Is he not also the Gentiles? Yea, of the Gentiles also. So Paul was basically getting the Israelites in line and showing, because this was the contention with the Pharisees and the Sadducees, the law, keep the law. If you're not keeping the law, then you can't come back to Jerusalem. You can't. Basically, you're worthy of death because a lot of those Gentiles over there in Rome and Greece and Cappadocia, Asia Minor, all throughout, they started following those Gentile or foreign ways, and the Jews felt like they weren't qualified to actually serve Yahweh Shem Yahushua. They wasn't coming to Jerusalem 3 times a year, so basically they're not technically they're not keeping the law, and they're worthy of death. They're breaking the laws. They wasn't paying the tithes at the time because they didn't even believe they were Israelites. So here it is. They're going. Their fathers, like Timothy, his father was a Greek. His father didn't pay tithes to the church of the Israel. So the Pharisees and the Sadducees felt real hot about that. They had the Sanhedrin. They had their little government, the government under the bigger government of Rome, and they wanted everybody to kind of be on ship when it came to the spirit, ultimately through using them and getting abundance of money. So at the end of the day, you have to just walk through faith. And another thing I wanted to say too is because also the Pharisees, they knew that's where they were stronger than all the Israelites was when it was concerned with the law. So they would always push the law in their face and show that they were better than them. That's why Yahweh Shah said that they were brought in the phylacteries, but inwardly they were full of dead men's bones because they weren't even fully keeping the law. They couldn't keep the law. All right. But Yahweh Shah, which is the greater than the law, because he actually atones for the law constantly through his blood, that's the point of what Paul is basically concluding. So continuing on, seeing it is one power which shall justify the circumcision by faith and uncircumcision through faith. Right, because the uncircumcision, they weren't circumcised on the 8th day. They weren't keeping the law, but their faith actually brought them back into the ministry. And that's what Paul was speaking about, the trees being grafted in. All right, they might have been going off and breaking laws for over 18 years, laws worthy of death. But through the law of faith, they're justified, and that's power, and it's really ultimately through Yahweh Shah. That's why Yahweh Shah, as it is read in John, he came with grace, all right, which grace is mercy. He came with mercy and truth. Verse 31, do we then make void the law through faith? The Most High forbid, yea, we establish the law. So you can't make void the law through faith. You can't say you just believe and void out the law. And you could read, of course, the 4th chapter when he's speaking about faithful Abraham. And I want to go into that word void. All right, void is to render idle, unemployed, inactive, inoperative. And it goes back to the Greek word. Let me go click it.
Strong's G 2673.
Katargeo.
Katargeo.
So it goes back to the Greek word katargeo, which means to basically, omit it. So he said, do we then make void the law? And he said, the Most High, through faith, he said, Most High forbid. We established the law, so the law has to be established. And that's why in the chapter after, Paul is going into faithful Abraham, that through his faith, he got justified. I'm going to read a little bit, Romans 4:1. What shall we then say that Abraham our father, as pertaining to the flesh, hath found? For if Abraham were justified by works, he hath whereof to glory, but not before the Most High. For what saith the Scripture? Abraham believed the Most High, and it was counted unto him for righteousness. Not to him that worketh is the reward, not reckoned of grace, but of debt. So at the end of the day, it's all about your belief of Yahweh Shah, because ultimately we're all in debt. We're not above the bar. We're not in good standing. We all are in debt. We're all in a low state. But at the end of the day, we have to be like our forefather Abraham, that has a high level of belief, and that's what counts unto you for righteousness, even if you fall short of the law. Verse 5, but to him that worketh not, but believeth on him that justifieth the ungodly, his faith is counted for righteousness. So even if you went years without working and working according to the truth, so to speak, keeping the Sabbath services and staying in the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shah, you could actually believe and come in. That's why you read about Cornelius, which Cornelius is a very, very important individual because he went years without so-called believing, but it speaks about how he became very, very strong and faithful. He paid tithes. He of course, when you go into the background, he grew up as a Gentile. Say he was a centurion under the Italian band. He fought, so to speak. He was in the government. He had a government position, in so-called military position, but he believed in the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shah. Like you'll have a lot of Israelites that'll be in the military, and they may go overseas killing Jake under the hand of the so-called white man. A lot of them, voted for the white presidents, not keeping the law the whole time, not serving your country, basically being a full-scale reprobate, being full of judgment, committing treason, but through your faith and coming back and attaching to the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shah, the Lord wipes all that slate clean. You're justified. All right, that all the things that you did in the past, they no longer can resonate. All right, you're no longer pinned up upon those charges, but you're in debt to do what? Show your faith through your works at that time. All right, by rehearsing the law and keeping the righteous acts of the Lord. And the prime example is Paul. Paul was a slayer of the Christians. He persecuted the Christians, and that's why he felt so low about himself, and he knew the only way to get himself in good standing with Yahweh Shai is to work. That's why he outworked, really all of the disciples before him. He has the largest body of work in the scriptures, showing that he produced a lot. Verse 6. Even as David also described as the blessedness of the man unto whom the Most High imputed righteousness without works. So it's all about the righteousness imputed without works, because it's through faith. But through your faith, that's your works is gonna eventually show. Just like David did certain acts of faith through his works. He believed that he could take Goliath down, and what did he do? He actually showed it. He didn't say, "Oh, I could take Goliath down," and they say, the men in the army, his brothers or whatnot, they tell him to go take him out. Then he like, "Nah, I just believe." Then what would be the point of him even saying it? Nah, he actually put his armory, he put his regalia on, so to speak, military regalia on, and he went and fought that battle and took Goliath out and showed his faith through his works. So the works is your business, employment, that which anyone is occupied, that which one undertakes to do, enterprise undertaken. Right. So it's your actions and your enterprise, and this enterprise is this truth and this labor of Yahweh Shema Shah and your deeds, which is all very, very important. You can't put works on the back burner, you can't put the law on the back burner, and you can't put faith on the back burner. They're all important. So this is James 2:14, and James drives it home. What doth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith and have not works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto them, depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled, notwithstanding you give them not those things which are needful to the body, what doth it profit? Right, so when you read these scriptures, Paul is basically going into, you have to define your faith by works, and James is going to go into you have to define your faith by works. So one is going to works have to be shown through your faith, your belief, and another one is going into how your faith should be defined through your works. All right, and that's why it says you can't just show belief and then you leave a man destitute and naked and you didn't give him the necessary devices or clothing so that he'll be clothed. So he compares that to your faith. Your faith has to be shown through action. All right. Even so, faith, if it have not works, is dead, being alone. So faith is works in harmony with works. All right. They complement each other. Faith complement works, and works complement the law, and the law complements faith. All right. So continuing on. Yea, a man may say, thou hast faith, I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. So James was basically saying, you can say you have faith all day, but your actions show how much you believe in Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And I'll show my actions through my faith that I believe. And James was a faithful man. All right, he went out, he performed the ministries with his brother Yahushua. He got persecuted with Yahushua. Yahushua died, you know, he got crucified. He still continued in the ministry. You know, he got put to death for the ministry. So he had a lot of works that were laid up, you know, to show that he believed. He wasn't just a believer and a background believer. You know, that's why the apostles and brothers always said it's not a spectator sport. You know, just like like a basketball player. You could say you believe you're gonna be in the Hall of Fame or in the NBA, you know, but if you're not going and practicing, taking the necessary acts and working, then you're not showing that you really believe. And when you go through the works, what? You have to know the formula. You have to know the blueprint. You got to know the technicalities when it comes to actually playing basketball. And that's the law. So all that has to be in place for you to be on point. And say, for instance, you play basketball, you might get technical fouls, you might get fouled out, you might goaltend. That's breaking. Those are breakings of the law, but they don't throw you out of the league. Now, when you just go haywire and you just playing and one on a basketball court, saying there's no technicalities, they're gonna throw you the hell out of the gym. Yeah, they're gonna throw you the hell out of the stadium or the gym, wherever you at, man. Tell your ass never come back, man. This is a thing of rules, and this is a thing of order. You know, so all those things are very, very important. All right. Thou believest that there is one power, thou do as well. The devils also believe and tremble. So it's showing that you know, even these devils believe, man. Everybody knows that there's a power. So he's actually going into really, you know, belief ain't cutting it, Jack. So you got to show more than just showing faith. Faith got to be defined by putting in work. Verse 20. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he had offered his son upon the altar? So just like Paul said, you know, he's speaking about the works, and James speaking about the faiths. And see, certain men get tied up. You know, of course, not brothers in GMS, but certain men in you know, different camps. They'll get tied up hearing Paul speaking how faith is superior, so to speak, and James is speaking about works. You know, one is speaking, leaning more towards the direction of the next, but they complement each other because faith complements works. Precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. Seest thou how faith with his works, and by works was faith made perfect? Excuse me. And the scripture was fulfilled, which said, Abraham believed the Most High, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness, and he was called the friend of the Most High. Ye see then how that by works a man is justified, and not by faith only. So it can't be by faith only, but it has to be by works also. And do you make void the law? No. We establish the law so that we'll actually have grace and mercy through Yahushua that sees that we're keeping all these acts and showing our spirits through our faith and our works and keeping the law, of course. And just like it tells you in Peter, add to your faith brotherly kindness, your brotherly kindness, charity, all these different things, for if they be in you, they make you that you abound and be nor barren nor unfruitful in the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So I want to end it by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushua by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom Akim.